Today's episode is brought to you by PodBuddy. Download this skill on your Amazon Echo today to listen to High Noon Podcast.
Drop the beat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I am your host, The Blevins, and with me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much. What's going on?
Oh, so much, man. It's been at least 10,000 years since we
roughly
did a show.
At a minimum.
Man, it's been 2 weeks. Wait, has it been more than that? No, it's been 2 weeks. It feels like it's been a year. This feels like the gap in between the Hearthstone podcast and the High Noon.
We should have stolen the joke from the Slam Dunklers and just pretended like we were.
I was thinking about doing that gag, but I'm like, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. Also, that can never be outdone. It's literally the greatest gag ever.
It's hard to deny.
Yeah.
Like the only episode I ever fully listened to, and it was solely because of how good that joke was.
No, Beard and Loathing in Las Vegas is the greatest podcast ever recorded. So it is the greatest story of heartbreak and denial of all time, featuring yours truly. But let's move on. We've got so much stuff to talk. We've got a lot of stuff, but we will start out, as we always do, with some housekeeping, because we had some giveaways and such that ended with the new year, the High Noon year, if you will. Our big plushie giveaway ended, the one, the only. This little guy right here. Well, actually, technically not him. This one right here, unopened in box. Was won by @theSauce on Twitter.
Good name.
Yeah, it's a pretty great name. I did reach out to @theSauce on Twitter. They've gotten back to me, so all things are good. Congratulations, Sauce. Really appreciate you for supporting the show. And guys, always keep an eye out on the Twitter page and also here, because we do giveaways pretty frequently. It's always nice to keep up with those. Had a lot of entrants and a lot of traffic on it, so really happy with that. Let us know what you guys want for the next giveaway, like what you want us to do and stuff. I don't know when it's going to be, but I think you guys like the plush, so maybe we'll do something. I don't know. We'll see. But we also had our monthly patron only giveaway of, oh man, I don't have my props on me. I don't have them on me. There it is.
Hammer down.
I needed to wait for my alt to charge up, but this giant inflatable Reinhardt hammer, again, not this one that has my spit all over it, but an unopened one, went to none other than who I want to call our official statistician.
Unofficial, you mean?
Unofficial statistician. Mr. A. Smith. I will be
honestly
out.
Probably our biggest listener evangelist. Not to take anything away from anybody else, but it's not a day goes by where A. Smith isn't out there on Twitter trying to reach out to a pro player, make sure they know we exist, and let them know that people would love to hear from them on our show. It helps us get a foot in the door to start these interviews and things like that, and begin that process tremendously. So big thanks to him. Very happy for you. Unfortunately, you're not getting the one that's out of the package. That one is, I believe, extra valuable since I physically used it to smash the Blevins in the back of the head.
That is true.
When I was over at his apartment.
I have gotten hit by this multiple times.
Yeah, I don't know what you would expect else to happen. I'm sure you expected exactly that to happen, but I had to oblige.
You definitely weren't expecting me to actually have my shield up, which would block the ult. That did not happen. And a little update. to the dude abiding who won our last one. I just your prize is here. I'm just lazy, and by lazy I mean I just haven't sent it. I'm just an idiot. So don't worry, your prize is still here. I'm just a moron. I'm going to be sending everything out all at once. No need to worry. Everything's good. And I don't know what I'm going to give for the patron giveaway this month, but we'll announce it at some point. But guys, if you want to enter that, the link to become a patron is at patreon.com/highnoonpodcast. Any entry level, any patron level at all is going to automatically enter you into the drawing every month for a prize. And so let us move right along to one of our favorite segments, the what did we do last week? And I know, Death, it's actually been the last 3 weeks. I know, Death, you took some notes, so do you want to start?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So I wrote an article actually on the website about the metagame following DreamHack. It was something we talked about on the show. As I mentioned, I like to expand my thoughts from the conversations I enjoy having on the show and put them in an article form. Try to reach some new listeners. So if anybody heard about us from that article, thank you so much. Any of our current viewers who helped that thing get as much traffic as it did, because holy cow, it was unbelievable. Just the sheer website traffic, it'll probably be 6 months before we top that day's worth of traffic if you combine all of them together. It was a pretty crazy day on our website there. So big thanks to anybody who helped share that or liked it on Reddit. I think it was on the front page of the competitive Overwatch subreddit for a good little bit there most of that day. So big thanks to that. Otherwise, I started playing the new Diablo season a couple days ago. I got to the All-Star rank in Rocket League.
Ooh.
Which is a fairly big deal, at least for me. About 3 rankings higher than my previous best before that run. So I was really happy with that. Been looking for a new team for Overwatch. As I mentioned, when the football season winds down, that means I'm going to be winding back up, trying to take playing Overwatch a little more seriously than I've been as of late. So I've been looking around for some teams that are either looking to do 6 stacks in competitive or, tournament ready teams, which will definitely be the goal once the football season's actually over. Other than that, I had my usual drive of 15 minutes home from work. Took me 3.5 hours the other day. So we had 2 feet of snow drop on us in an hour and a half or so last Friday. That was pretty intense. And I got an Amazon Echo Dot. I actually got 2 of them for Christmas.
Nice.
So I've been playing around with those. I know you got one for your girlfriend, and that means that it sits in your house. So you bought yourself a Christmas gift. Congratulations.
Got there, boys. Got there.
That's how you successfully buy Christmas gifts for people, by the way. So bonus points on that one. But definitely been playing around with it. And as you heard at the top of the show, we gave a shout out to a skill that will let you listen to the High Noon podcast right there on your Amazon Echo. And right now I'm actually going to demonstrate exactly what you have to do. You have to go get the Pod Buddy skill and activate it on your Echo. But Alexa, ask PodBuddy to play High Noon Podcast. It takes a little bit to find it with the skill, but
today's episode is brought to you by the last episode of
Alexa, stop. I assume you guys were able to hear that pretty decently, but that's all you have to do in order to listen to the podcast on your Alexa, which is now going to turn on. Stop. So I'm not going to say her name anymore. But if you want to listen to it on your Amazon Echo, you need the PodBuddy app, and it is as simple as those instructions right there. So always looking for new ways.
I was just going to try to yell a command for your Amazon Echo to try to get yours to say it, but then I realized, A, you have headphones on, B, mine can hear me from up here, so I was going to try to get it to order a pizza from Domino's or something, but then I would have done it.
Yeah, I had coworkers like trying to like order things from Amazon from my desk because I brought it into work to show them. The guys that were curious about it wanted to see it. They were trying to prank me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm nobody's fool. I didn't hook this thing up to anything yet. Like, it's got my Pandora account, and that's it. But I've been having a lot of fun with that. It's it's going to take some time, I think, for all the skills to really catch up and be as entertaining as I'd like them to be. But you can tell the power of the technology and the usefulness of it just by what's already here and what's already around. So it's very cool and a lot of fun to play with so far.
Yeah, I also got one. I don't have the dot. I have the like base version. I don't really know what the difference is, but
it's twice the price for a better speaker.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the one that she wanted, so it doesn't matter.
It's a way better speaker. If you want to listen to music on it, it's worth it. I think I downplayed it a little too much.
That's pretty much the reason that she wanted it, was to play music. I can listen to the radio and to podcasts on it, which is awesome for me. I'm sure there's a lot of other functionality that I'm hoping that they're going to keep developing too, which is pretty awesome. Right now, some of the functionality, like, it doesn't work exactly the way I want it to, but it's getting there, and I'll leave it at that because we're not going to talk about the Amazon Echo all time.
No, but we will.
Today's episode is brought to you by Amazon Echo, our brand new sponsor. No, I wish.
Yeah, it would be nice. But no, I mean, I'll keep an eye out for any skills or any software that'll help, improve and have anything to do with Overwatch or esports. Yeah. There is an esports app out there that'll let you know when live matches are, upcoming events. They don't have Overwatch compatibility yet that I know of. But, I'm keeping an eye out on those things. We'll point them out to you guys when they come up. So.
Yeah, but the big news for me for what I did last week was, we're plat, boys. We got there. After about 10 times being being one win away from plat rank and competitive, finally got there. After being literally ranked 2499. 24.99. I thought I was one win away, and I got there, and I'm like, yes, yeah.
Not good enough.
I was very mad. I was like, I'm never playing again. I'm uninstalling the game. Like, Apex and Solos, who played with me basically the whole way through, they can attest to the fact that I threatened to uninstall Overwatch probably 800 times in the run. So bad. But besides that, I finally got my Rogue jersey in, and the YouTube viewers are going to be able to see just how awesome this jersey is. Absolutely recommend. It's from... I got it on the Rogue website, but the company that actually makes the jerseys is called Meta Threads. And it's a super high-quality jersey. It's just like a jersey you would get for like a sports team. So... and like actually like some of the like this middle part is actually like mesh, and it's like super comfortable, like really nice, like airy, like
fluffy.
Yeah, rip the plupster, which we'll actually talk a little bit more about later. But I do want a Renegades jersey, also through Meta Threads, and I'm thinking about getting one. But let's move on to what did you guys do last week? And by you guys, I mean the whole community. A lot of stuff happened. I got a couple of little snippets from what I found over the past few days. We've got a video of the voice actors for both May and McCree doing an It's Noon together. Thought it was a cool little thing. Had something to do with the show. So got the link for that in the show notes, which you guys can check out in the description. We also have a Reddit post that was on the competitive Overwatch subreddit, and it's a compilation of all of the little like types of tricks that you can do with every character in the game. So, for example, did not know this, but with Sombra, you can ultimate to double jump. It gives you a double jump. With Hanzo, you can charge up your arrow and then charge the arrow and then change the arrow while it's fully charged. I did know that, but it's a neat little trick. And there's a lot of these tricks. This is like, I don't know, probably 1,000 words worth of, of tricks here. Those are all from Reddit user John3298.
Not to be confused with any of the other 3,900 and something Johns, apparently.
Yeah, 3,297 other Johns. Not those. This guy. But yeah, so that's a neat little thing. Also posted a link to that. Take a look at that. We have also got this is the last one I wanted to talk about. And this one made me like really upset when they posted it. And I honestly don't understand. But theScore esports, generally a pretty reputable esports portal, especially for Overwatch content now. They really picked up their Overwatch content, mostly because they didn't have an Overwatch section for the longest time. And me tweeting and emailing them multiple times may have had a part in them getting an Overwatch section. Probably not. But they posted a top 10 Overwatch players of 2016 list. Okay? And I wanted to just walk through these ones real quick. So number 10, we've got Randall Rolf Stark. Oh God, never mind. I'm getting ads. Rip. Long story short, ads are just starting to play, so I'm not gonna be on the website. Long story short, there's no Pluppy on the list. What is this? Like, okay, I can understand.
Inaccurate.
I can understand. I can understand him not being in the number one spot. Like, there's arguments to be made, sure. Their number one spot is
Taimu.
Yes, Taimu. Number two being Shadowburn. I'm not going to argue with those two. Absolutely, perfectly reasonable number one, number two.
You think number two is Shadowburn?
I would almost put Shadowburn at number one, but
he's not number two.
He's not number two?
Shadowburn didn't make the list. Arhan from
what? Oh my God, is it
Africa Freaks Blue is number 2 on the list.
I thought. Wow.
They mentioned it. They mentioned Shadowburn in the post, but
okay, rip this list. It's awful. The list is literally terrible.
It's pretty bad. And listen, it's nothing against. It's not that it's just our opinion, right? In our opinion, it's wrong. Obviously, it can't be wrong because it is an opinion piece. But listen,
it's pretty close to being wrong for an opinion piece.
I would tend to agree with that. But there's just some omissions, and I think, listen, Miro's number 3. He's a solid inclusion to the list. Maybe not quite so high. I need to see more of these, APAC teams intermingle with the NA and the EU bracket, because right now we're sending teams over there, they're winning their tournaments and they're coming back. So how are guys on the teams that were outperforming in those tournaments going to be lower on the list than guys that lost in those tournaments? It doesn't make sense to me. So I need to see more intermingling to say definitively Arhan shouldn't be at number 2. They're claiming he's a better Genji than Shadowburn. They do say it's very debatable. It's an open question is the way they word it. I disagree. I also don't think it matters much because I don't think Genji has too much of a home in the game anymore. But yeah, there's definitely a handful of guys here that I don't want to argue with their inclusion, just that they're ahead of people like it's hard to put Siegel on a top 10 list considering the team hasn't done anything, but I just don't think that's his skills fault. Maybe the team chemistry and what he contributes to that with his stream schedule, but he's really put that on a hiatus. So I don't think we can really use that as much of an excuse anymore. I don't know. Rolf at number 10 seems a little silly. He's just too new of an addition to a top tier team in Cloud9 to really kind of crack this list over a Plupster. But
yeah, it's like we literally have an episode where we talked about our teams going to start changing their comps based around Pluppy. Like
why? Basically, it was why is he the best player in the world?
Yeah, like take away my fandom. There's still a lot of results and a lot of him being extremely dominant that is in the face of this list. Now, if they wanted to maybe this is through the lens of the tank meta specifically, and if you only watched Pluppy or Tavik play, post tank meta, and you only ever saw him on Zarya, sure, I could imagine a world where you wouldn't put him on the top 10 list if you had never seen the older stuff, like with him on DPS in a meta where those DPS that he was playing was good. I could almost see that being a reasonable line of thought. But then, why are you writing the top 10 Overwatch players of 2016? I don't know. I'm taking more offense at this than you are, which is usually the opposite because you're usually the one that takes offense at everything. I'm taking offense at this. I'm upset, and I'm taking a stance. This list is not good, but you should.
I think this is a perfectly fine top 10 players to watch in 2017 list.
I don't even think that's good because. Okay.
You literally can't even right now. I can hear it in your voice. You literally
can't
even.
So here's my thing. Miro is a good player. Miro got the MVP at the Overwatch World Cup. Miro is overrated because the Overwatch World Cup over magnified the skills that he has with Winston, and over magnified the importance of Winston, and over magnified the importance of his role. He had some very flashy plays that showed off a lot of good Winston, but then has done nothing since then. Lunatic High didn't even make the finals of Apex. The Korean team did significantly better than every single other team at the Overwatch World Cup, but the Overwatch World Cup was basically a glorified all-star game.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Is South Korea was the only team whose fans voted to try to win, at least entirely. They were in lockstep. Who's our best team made up of entirely South? Well, they're going to be the best because they play together, so we'll send them. And that's basically what happened. There are some exceptions to that. I'm not familiar enough with all the APAC rosters to know exactly how it was compiled.
It was like trying to win a Globetrotters game. It's no. This is for show. This is for fun. It's you tried to win. You won. Okay, congratulations. I don't fault you for doing that, but people keep harkening back to Lunatic High. They have Miro. They have I can't think of their Ana player's name, but their Ana player is absolutely insane. And honestly, I think that the skill difference between his Ana and the next player's Ana is probably better than Miro's Winston to the next player's Winston, or at least the importance is. But without spending the entire episode on this one list, which I actually didn't want to spend this much time at all on, I didn't think I was going to get this triggered by it. How in the world do you make a top list of Overwatch players without having Pluppy? That's asinine. And I'm specifically calling out whoever wrote this article, which I can't check right now. It is
Josh Gauntlet Burry.
Josh Gauntlet Burry. No idea who you are. I'm calling you out. Tweet at me, and I'll tell you what's up.
Your list is bad, and you should feel bad, Josh.
You should feel very bad for not including Tavik or Mendo. Mendo's not on there either. What is this?
I think that's right, though.
I could see the argument against Mendo. I don't see the argument against.
I agree. There's no argument against Pluppy. Mine would look very different, but it would probably include at least 6 or 7 of the same players.
Sure. Also, where's Shadowburn? I seriously thought Shadowburn was number 2.
No, to me that's the most objectionable spot is the number 2 spot.
Yeah, it is. It's just not good.
Well, maybe one of us will write our own version of a top 10 players from 2016 list for the website and put it up soon. Yeah.
Yes,
we'll look at something like that to do. That's one thing I've really wanted to do. Is let the articles and the content I'm writing kind of mirror what you'd see from the football articles I really like to watch, which means power rankings and stuff like that. And that's going to get a lot easier to do as the Overwatch League comes out, since there will be a lot more structure to it, things like that. But nonetheless, I don't see any reason why we can't get started in it, that sort of thing earlier. So we're
absolutely
making better content when it comes up.
True. And I also want to start putting out more content on a weekly basis that's not just the show, too. But, and actually, speaking of that, I did come out since last we spoke, I did make a second video second Diva video, which got a nice little bit of traction. So if you are here from YouTube, or from your Reddit from the Diva video, hi, thank you for stopping by. Those videos have gotten a nice little bit of traction, some good feedback. I do plan on making one for Oasis, but I need to actually play Oasis more to actually get an idea of like where anything on the map is.
There's and anybody who didn't know this, and I don't know if you knew it or not, but there is an arcade mode where it's just go play quick play Oasis only.
Oh, nice. That is pretty sweet. I stayed out of arcade mode for quite some time in the off chance that I accidentally quit to the Maze Winter Wonderland brawl. I didn't want to have to sit through the stupid opening animation again. I couldn't do it.
How'd you do on your skins from the event, though? Did you get everything or no?
I got everything I wanted.
I got pretty much everything except for... I got everything I wanted, but I got pretty much everything except for Tracer's Jingle skin, which is pretty good, but I'm never going to be a Tracer player.
I got all of the legendaries. I think the only skin I didn't get was Lucio, which is an epic, and I could have bought it, but I didn't.
Yeah, like I had the gold to afford a legendary if I wanted it, or epic. I just chose not to because if I'm being honest, I'm kind of Scrooge. Christmas, not my cup of tea.
Same.
So to me,
it was mandatory that you got the Zenyatta and the Winston.
Oh yeah, those two. I was very happy to actually open.
Nice.
But I did spend like I think $10 on loot boxes, but it was funny because as I'm opening them as the thing started, it was like my first 3 crates all had legendaries in them. After the event started, one of them was a holiday skin. It was just an old legendary, and I was like, great, I'm never gonna get anything, but I ended up opening both of the good ones, so I was pretty happy.
Nice. So 2 stories about me before we get into actual talk. I feel bad, but I've been building.
Buckle up! It's going to be a long episode.
It's going to be a long one. So the first story is that over the weekend, or I guess over our little vacation, I had a Feast of Winter Veil at my house, which is pretty sweet. And my buddy came in from out of town, and he was like, "Oh man, I forgot to get the free holiday skins." I'm like, "Oh well, they're gone tomorrow." I was like, "Crap, I'm not gonna have a computer." So let him use my computer to log on to Overwatch to buy some Overwatch holiday loot boxes. He opened 25 loot boxes. He, I think, got about 10 legendaries total, which is a pretty good amount for 25 boxes.
It's really good.
5 of those 10 were non-holiday legends. The other 5 holiday legends were literally all Torbjorn.
Oh, man. Just kept rapid fire opening the Torb Santa skin.
It's like he opened a loot box with 3 legendaries in it. 2 of them were Torbjorn, and 1 of them was a non-Christmas legendary. It's like best, worst RNG ever.
Right.
Or worst, best, I don't know.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But yeah, it was pretty sweet. Yeah, whew, let's, this is a very tangent-y episode. We haven't even talked about even a single thing of substance yet, and it's like almost, it's so long. But let's move on to an actual substantive piece of the show. It's tournament talk. Yes. Team kill. Let's talk about some tournaments. We actually didn't have a lot of tournaments to talk about, surprisingly.
No, we didn't. And that's why we did 2 weeks off. We weren't going to take a week off for New Year's, but literally 0 events from the last tournament through, with nothing even in sight. So that's why we took that second week off. But nonetheless, we have anything to talk about, so we're back. Was it the Next Generation Esports Winter Premiere we had this week, right?
Yes, we did. So I looked into it, and this is one of the things about all these Overwatch tournaments is that not even a single one of them has the same format as the one before. So it's literally like, well, there's like 300 stages of group play, then there's 12 different playoff rounds, cutting down every third person. That's like, it's crazy. I have no idea. So this one, They're playing, I believe, they're playing 5 matches total, round robin. After those 5 matches of the 8 teams, which are Renegades, Immortals, LG, Complexity, Kungarna, Liquid, FaZe, and Citizen 7. So of those 8, after 5 rounds of Swiss play, or round robin play, I mean, we are going to have the top 6 advance to another round. Then, after some number of Swiss rounds, the top 4 of that will enter a traditional 4-team playoff, and the finals will be played out. So, right now, after either 3 or 4 rounds, we have, depending, like some of the matches haven't been played yet, we've got Renegades at 4-0, Immortals at 3-0, LG at 2-2, Complexity at 1-2, Kungarna at 1-2, Liquid at 1-2, FaZe at 1-2, and Citizen 7 at 0-3. So,
straight away, some really weird things about what you just said.
Yeah.
1, Cloud9, and I'm blanking on who the other one was. Qualified and are not in it because they had to back out. Who is the second team?
I'm looking it up.
Oh, Fnatic.
Oh, yeah.
Of all the people that should know, it should probably be me, right?
Yeah,
Cloud9 and Fnatic qualified and dropped out. They were replaced in the tournament. I think it was Citizen 7 and Team Liquid. I'm not 100% sure that Team Liquid was, in fact, the second one. They might have qualified on their own. But anyways, they were filling in for those 2 teams who had to drop out because they got invited to Apex Season 2 in Korea. So we're not going to be seeing much of either of those 2 teams in the NA tournament scene for the next, I'd say probably about a month or so. Is that how long Envy was out?
It seemed like forever.
Yeah, it was a good stretch of time. The other super weird thing you said was that first team, you said Renegades. If you guys are not aware, the Old Kingdom roster has been picked up by a different sponsor, and they are now the Detroit Renegades. That includes our good buddy Mangachu, is over on that roster as well, and they have basically taken this tournament by storm. It is theirs to win from here on out, essentially, the way I see things. They're not the only undefeated team, but they are the only 4-win team, as Immortals also at 3-0.
Yes.
They have an extra round they still have to play in the next group stages. And yeah, it'll be really, really interesting to see how this squad continues to improve and get better. It's been a pretty rapid ascension for them from the first time I told you Kingdom just beat Cloud9, and you said, wait, who?
Yeah, I remember
that was not super long ago, and they're sitting at the top of this bracket. No Cloud9, no Envy, but that's really it as far as the Fnatic, and that's really it as far as the big name teams that are there. You know, the guys they've beaten are definitely no slouch. I've been really, really impressed so far, and that's actually, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say Renegades versus FaZe is your match of the week, simply because I want you guys to see how good this Renegades team is. FaZe, in my mind, would have been one of the likely clubhouse favorites to take take it the whole way here and
I would
at least
picked
qualify
either FaZe or Immortals, probably.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple others that are obviously capable of it, but if you're talking about favorites, it should have been FaZe, and they're not recovering well from that loss to the team they didn't expect to lose to, as they are currently facing elimination. They're one of the teams that have only played 3 matches. Only LG and Renegades have played 4, so theoretically they have an opportunity to get out of that 7 seed that they're currently in before they face elimination. But if they can't pull out that win, they are in an elimination match, essentially, the next time they play. And that will be tomorrow in real time, and then yesterday in podcast time, if you guys are listening to it on Wednesday. So
I'm pretty sure that there's at least 2 more rounds left for some of these teams. There's at least 5 rounds being played, because I'm pretty sure that the next match that's being played is Immortals versus Renegades.
It's Renegades versus Complexities, Citizen 7 versus Immortals, FaZe versus Team Liquid, LG versus Kungarna, and then Renegades again versus Luminosity.
The matches I'm seeing...
Maybe not. That doesn't seem right.
The matches I'm seeing are that... Is this today? At 10:30 p.m. Eastern, we're going to see FaZe versus LG. Oh, no, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so this is all tomorrow. So we're going to see FaZe versus LG, Team Liquid versus Citizen 7. Also Citizen 7 versus Kungarna, Complexity versus Team Liquid, and Immortals versus Renegades. So it looks like five rounds are going to be played at least.
Yeah, that's my bad for getting that information wrong, but I assumed their winterpremiere.com website would have had.
I'm on over.gg.
Information.
I'm on over.gg. Those are the upcoming matches for tomorrow. So
perfect.
The cool thing is that Renegades is locked in for the next round, but basically everyone else. And is Citizen 7 out? No, they could get 2 more. Yeah, basically it's a completely open game here, except Renegades is locked in the top. Everyone else, I believe, has the ability. I guess it depends on how they do tiebreakers, but everyone else has the ability to get bumped out here, which is really interesting because usually you don't really see that. And before we saw this Renegades team get white hot, we would have picked FaZe, but they're at the bottom, so who knows who's going to win this tournament, honestly. Renegades is the favorite obviously right now, but this is actually, it doesn't have a ton of top teams that you might be used to following. I mean, it does have FaZe, Complexity, LG. It's got some good, probably B+, A- tier teams in this tournament. And it's anyone's game right now. So definitely looking to have some breakout performances. We've already had them from Renegades, but, Team Liquid at 1 and 2 still has the chance to qualify and then win it out. Complexity still has a chip on their shoulder to really prove that they're, that top tier type of team. And
Kungarna has a lot to prove too. They're a new addition to the scene.
Yeah.
A lot of familiar names, but maybe not veterans to top tier teams that are really kind of making a push. And they look pretty strong going into their games. They're definitely in all of them. I don't think there's anybody in this tournament that just is head and shoulders above them that they can't compete with. So they're somebody that could really make a name for themselves. And like you said, I'm dying to see what Complexity can do. They seem to be in a little bit of turmoil right now. You'd think that the heavy tank metagame would really help them out, considering how good Harblue's been on Roadhog. But his most effective play has been on Zarya throughout this tournament. He's not been a high-impact Roadhog player for the last couple of weeks that I've seen him in tournaments. And I'm really curious to see if he can kind of get that back before he gets nerfed or fixed or whatever they're doing to him. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But so there's so many great storylines in this tournament, and really even this Citizen 7 roster, they're playing fill-in, so there's almost zero expectations on them, and they're living up to those expectations so far. But they haven't maybe they are getting blown out a little bit. I'm looking at their game record here. I don't even think they picked up a game yet, but so they're probably the least compelling team to watch, but I've always really liked, since the last roster shakeup for Team Liquid, the other teams at the bottom here, just, Rafa, when he got added to the team, I really thought they would make a step up. So every time they're on, I'm very curious to see it. Is this the moment? Because I do feel like with them, it's going to click at some point. Maybe they're not going to jump up to top tier, but they should be able to get into a hot streak at some point in one of these tournaments and really make a solid push. So I look forward to seeing that happen. And like you said, it's very open right now. So hopefully it could still be this event.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about this tournament, besides it being like a super close tournament and the fact that basically every single team that is playing right now still has a chance, like a legitimate chance to win, is that it's kind of a reprieve to only have one tournament to worry about.
Yeah.
It's Okay, so it's gonna sound weird because there's a Blevins and Deathblow that exists sometime in the past that were like, man, I wish there were more Overwatch tournaments, but boy, are we past those days.
Right.
It's nice to have a large scale type of tournament. It's not just a 1 day event. But it's nice to have that, but also not have a bunch of small tournaments in the middle that all have very similar names. I feel like everything's called League, Premier, Open, Challenger, Series, Finale,
Season 1.
Season 1. Yeah, it's like, okay, there needs to be some sort of consistency in the naming because I just get confused. It's like, is it APAC or is it Apex? Is it like is it Apex Season 1 Seat Story Cup 5 Challenger Classic? I don't know. I literally have no idea what any of these tournaments are. Like, just tell me, like, NGE Winter Premiere is already a mouthful of a name, but it's the only one going on. So I don't need to worry. It's the only one in NA going on. There is actually the APAC tournament that Season 2, which is going on, but
Right. I think when it started back up after the holidays, I just messaged you. I'm like, the tournament's on. It's like I don't get to do that very often because there's too many follow-up questions. But now there's like, oh, there's definitely only one active right now.
Yeah, so and there's only one active that's on during our time. The other one, we get woken up by Slasher in the middle of the night.
Right.
But it's just like a nice, like, oh man, this is what Overwatch League season might be like. It's like, man, I can't wait for those days.
Right. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be really interesting. There's a lot of questions about that, like what's going to happen with the off season. How long will that be? But no matter what, it'll be really nice to have some structure to it. And even if there is an off season, it just makes room for these third parties and gives them a chunk of time where they can get some quality airtime too.
I think from Blizzard's perspective, and we won't go too much into this today because we're already a million minutes over. Well, we're not over, but I think that just gives them the strategic alliance of being like, okay, Overwatch League off season is Heroes of the Storm on season, or Hearthstone on season, or shoot, Counter-Strike off on season. I don't know. I don't know if they would do that, but like if it's MLG, like all of a sudden, like Overwatch League is say fall or summer or something, and then winter is MLG season, like where they have like not Overwatch League but still pro or pro-am level Overwatch tournaments, but they're not the main show. It's also Call of Duty, it's also Counter-Strike, it's also Halo. That would be kind of cool, honestly. Like, the diehard fans are going to have content all the time, and the Overwatch League only people get a chance to actually breathe. I don't know if you're the best person to ask this because you probably would like to watch football 365 days a year.
Yeah, 1,000%.
But I feel like having a break, even though you would like to watch football every single day of the year, having the break makes the start of the season and the season itself that much more special. Okay, you're a bad example just because you're a maniac, but
it's true. Me and moderation have never met. We don't know. I don't know what moderation is. Anything I do, I just binge on completely. Like there's no middle ground with me.
I'm mostly the same way, but I also get sick of things extremely quickly. But it'll be interesting to see that. But let us move on. Got a couple of things to talk about. Wanted to just remind you guys, patreon.com/highnoonpodcast, best way to support us in a monetary fashion if that is your choosing, but you also get some cool stuff automatically entered into a drawing. You get access to the patron only Discord where we have sometimes really interesting discussions, sometimes just stupid stuff, but it's a little bit of everything. Always fun. And also be sure to check out youtube.com/highnoonpodcast where I have in relatively more frequency been posting additional videos. You can also find all the videos of the podcast. So hello new YouTube fans and friends. and welcome. But let us move on to yet.
I'm gonna stop you because it's probably the only good time to do iTunes reviews, and I don't see it. We passed it a long time ago.
We passed it a long time ago.
It's true. So we do have 2 new iTunes reviews here. We have one from, let's see, right after the last episode. Katie says, best one I've heard. Podcast is good one to listen to. So thank you so much.
Nice.
Short and simple, to the point, much appreciated. We also had FIFA Kid said, another 5-star review, said, by far the best competitive podcast out there. Great production and great conversation. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for clicking on the wrong podcast when you decided to leave.
When you decided to leave,
really appreciate it. No, in all seriousness, though, guys, thank you so much. If you don't want to support us monetarily, but you still do want to support us, this is definitely the best way to go about it. Nothing helps the podcast more than showing up higher on the list when people search Overwatch and esports in iTunes looking for podcasts. And that's exactly how we get higher on those lists, is by getting more reviews, more listens. Please download and listen to every episode, whatever you want to do. We're not here to ask you to go crazy out of control, but
yes, we are. But
hey, we're more than happy to allow you to go crazy and out of control if you'd like to.
True story, because that's basically what we do on a weekly basis. But like I said, let us move on to another a pre-ready dropped section of the show.
Overwatch Today, meme of the week.
Got the Overwatch Today meme of the week, and this is a weird week. Usually the Overwatch Today memes of the week are in reference to last episode, but we had our weird little vacation, so I just went back through and searched, found an interesting one that our official memeologist made, and it was the Assassin's McCree or Assassin's McCree video game poster, and it said Blizzard needs to make this into a skin. I think that'd be pretty cool. An Assassin's Creed McCree.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that poster. I don't know anything about Assassin's Creed.
You don't know what Assassin's Creed looks like?
I mean, I know it's a video game.
Rip.
I'm Googling it. Sorry, I'm a bad nerd.
It's fine. Yeah, so I'm sure this week we've locked and loaded plenty of ammunition for Overwatch Today.
Might have something to do with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Looks more like a Hanzo skin to me.
Yeah, but you can't say Assassin's Mahanzo or Hanzo Creed. Hans Creed. No, it doesn't work. Assassin's McCreed works better than anything. But without spending too much time on the dumbest argument ever, let us break it down, because surprisingly enough, even though we spent so much of the show already talking about other stuff, this is probably the most content heavy section of the show for this week. So let us rip through some of it. We actually talked a little bit about it. We wanted to talk about the Detroit Renegades. Actually, I think they're called the Detroit Red Bull Renegades, or maybe they're sponsored by Red Bull, which is pretty sweet. But Detroit Renegades,
they're not. They're in fact not sponsored by Red Bull. They're the Detroit Renegades 5-hour energy Overwatch.
5-hour energy. That's what it is. I was thinking it was Red Bull. Rip.
Yes, but they signed the old, as we mentioned, they signed the old roster for Kingdom Esports, which is our good buddy Mangachu, Jesus, Juvenile, Jur, Sherlocky, and Man of Snow. And I know at least one person became a big supporter of Man of Snow after watching some of the Overwatch premiere. And that's Captain Flexible Jersey over there.
Yes,
probably purchasing another one pretty soon, but
if they weren't so expensive, I would probably buy a whole wardrobe of them. But they're really nice quality, but you pay for the quality. That's what I'll say.
So, and it's awesome to see. I don't know anything about Renegades as an org before this signing, anything like that. But it's awesome to see these esports teams kind of claiming their regionality right there. in the name. They are not the Renegades esports. They are the Detroit Renegades. And I really, really like that. It's a step in the right direction. It's kind of showing people that it's possible to do that with the names, because the Los Angeles Cloud9s doesn't sound right to me. Like the St. Louis Envious isn't a good name in my mind. So
Yeah.
we're going to have to see some changing or some rebranding of at least the one sport divisions of these organizations. And I don't know. I really like this one top to bottom. I don't know. I'm a pretty big fan of them. Obviously, we know Mangachu and their play. It was just nothing. It's so impressive. That's why it's the match of the week this week. You guys have to just go make sure you catch some of their play in this tournament, because it's been really impressive so far.
Yeah, so worth noting that Renegades is owned by Jonas Jerebko, who is a Swedish professional basketball player for the Boston Celtics. So, literal NBA player.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure that they were owned by someone in the NBA. I just didn't know who it was, but that's who it is. They were actually formerly the LA Renegades, surprisingly enough. And they had a really I'm just looking at Wikipedia here. They had an interesting snafu with their League of Legends team, and they had to sell the team to Envious. But definitely interesting that they're in the Overwatch scene now, and I'm always partial to the basketball player owned teams. NRG,
I'm
obviously.
always jealous that your sport is leading the esports frontier, and mine's just sitting there going, "Oh, this would be fun to watch."
So I'm still waiting for Echo Fox to get into Overwatch. It's interesting that they made, and I won't talk too much about it, but they made an absolutely huge play in the fighting game scene. Like, they basically did the equivalent of let's see if I can think of a football analogy. It's like if they picked up if they picked up Peyton Manning and also the best young quarterback and also the best veteran wide receiver and best young wide receiver, and put them all on the same team. Even though it doesn't make sense to have two quarterbacks, but that's basically what they did.
It's working for the Cowboys this year.
They have two quarterbacks?
I mean, they're not both playing, but they have by far, they have a starting quarterback backing up their rookie who filled in for him when he was injured and just lost only 2 games all season. He's been blowing up.
Nice. But yeah, they made an absolutely huge. It's actually probably bigger than that. It's like they signed the greatest fighting game player of all time 3 times in 3 different games, and then also the up and comers for 3 different games as well. It's actually insane. So I'm hoping that my basically weekly tweets to Rick Fox are going to get him to get into Overwatch. But let's move along. So we had that. So with the announcement of Renegades becoming a team, we also today got the confirmation that Reunited is no longer a team. Rip.
Yeah, now our Ryu Salted meme is dead.
Ryu Cried is gone.
Yeah. The who's going to take that? That leaves second place so wide open in these tournaments. It's going to be insane to see who can fill this huge gaping hole in second place.
Second place.
Yeah. So, but in all seriousness, it kind of awkward to me because they went out of their way to publicly remove a player from their team 3 days ago, and then today they're gone. They ceased all operations as an organization, and they're gone the way of Creation Esports, who is apparently Overwatch's dodo bird. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The timing of it, like it was awkward. But at the end of the day, there's a large free agent pool now on the EU side of things, and it could lead to some interesting shakeups or inclusions. For some of these kind of mid to lower tier relevant teams, and hopefully, that leads to anytime there's free agents in the market. To me, it's a good thing. It gives teams the opportunity to shake things up. It creates some movement, and you're not going to see the top teams get too involved in it, but every now and then they do. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how.
It'd be really funny if it were like a running gag that every time a new team became free agents or it's a team full of free agents, if like every single time they named the team Maidong and just kept Maidong around forever.
I don't expect that to happen. I think most of them would like to get picked up by legitimate, serious sponsors, and I don't think legitimate, serious sponsors want to pick up a team and put out a press release saying we bought
Maidong.
We bought Maidong. Yes.
I want nothing more than that as a sponsor. But in all seriousness, the owners of Reunited actually put out they released a statement. And the long and short of it was two things. A, they ran out of money. Like that a lot of times, talk what you will about the story of everything. That's what a lot of it comes down to. They ran out of money. And they also mentioned a little bit that the lack of information about Overwatch League was not conducive to them. The Overwatch League timing and the lack of information behind it was not conducive to them as an org right now, because it's very hard to allocate large amounts of money into furthering the org if there's no sort of if there's not even anything at all to base it off of. You don't even know what your risk is. It's one thing to know, like, okay, well, we have if we put this amount of money in it, we're risking this amount of money for this amount of gain, right? You can at least put those numbers and then think about if it's worth it or not as an organization. But when you don't even know what you need to risk or what you're risking at what cost, like, it's really hard to sell that to non-endemic sponsors. It's really hard to sell that to more leery sponsors and other team organizations. They mentioned that they'd actually spoken with some professional teams, professional sports teams, and other high-level sponsors, but the talks just didn't go anywhere because it's really hard to really sell your team as an asset if the risk is not even known. So it's really interesting, and I actually think that in my mind, this move speaks a lot louder than just the team Reunited being gone. I think it almost pushes Blizzard to release some more info or tidbits, or even if it's just internally to some of their sponsors. It's like, yeah, these teams are literally like a team who is not a slouch, who is not this random team that started a week ago, a team that has put up good tournament results, albeit only ever second place, but a relatively top tier team literally gone because Overwatch League just doesn't have any information out about it.
Yeah. And I want to clarify something I said earlier about the free agents that were entering into the market. The roster itself is hoping to stick together and look for a new organization. They had kind of a weird scenario where, like I said, they let go of a player, the name I'm blanking on off the top of my head. It was very recently, but they also still had Kib sponsored, even though he was not part of the actual Overwatch roster. He was still sponsored by Reunited as like a streamer.
Yeah, a lot of organizations have done that sort of thing too.
So he's now officially out there searching. Also, we don't know what's going to happen with this roster. Rubicon, Shark, Unfixed, Morte, Cruz, Hayes, and Valutaja are all there saying they're going to stick together and keep looking for a new home as far as an org goes. But you never know. And a team that, nothing personal to them, hasn't won a lot. They've done well. They put out very respectable showings. You never know. They're got a roster shakeup. If things go south, it could be very, very quick that these guys are trying out in other spots. So we'll have to wait and see. It'll be fun to keep an eye out, though.
Yeah, and the player I believe that you were referencing before was Winghaven that they dropped.
Yes, 100%. Crazy to me.
Yeah, really interesting. I think the way I'm thinking of it is that the initial drops of Winghaven and the other player who I'm not going to look, but it wasn't Winghaven. I think that might have been a team level drop, and the obviously decline of Reunited as an organization was an organization level drop. Though I believe the players had some sort of, I believe that they had some sort of stake in the actual organization. I don't know, but it's interesting. There's definitely a lot to speak of there, and like I said, I think it actually speaks louder than just that team being dropped. I'm kind of hoping it pressures Blizzard into really making some action, or at least saying something like, "Hey," or helping these teams honestly, because like if you're an organization, especially like an organization at the level of Reunited, which is not a slouch, you hear Overwatch League get announced at Blizzard. Greatest news you could ever ask for. It's like 15 Christmases, like as an esports organization with like a relatively successful Overwatch team, like in the scene, like that's awesome. And you take a bunch of meetings with investors and stuff, like everything's going well, and then it just flops because you have no information and the timing doesn't work out. And it's like, well, we had this really awesome opportunity. We had a workable team. We had at least somewhat stable organization at one point, and now it's just like, well, Blizzard didn't say anything, so we just ran out of money. GG. Like, I don't know. It just kind of leaves them hanging out to dry, and like it's not like we mentioned before. Like, I'm not necessarily I'm not of the mindset that every single esports organization deserves or should succeed or should be in Overwatch League. Like, I think that there's a set number, probably like 16 to start out at max. I think. So like not every like rinky-dink organization that's sponsored by like 15 different Xbox controller companies and like 3 different energy drink companies, like not every team deserves to be in the Overwatch League. But like Reunited was, at least in my view, not one of those teams, especially in the Overwatch community. So interesting. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Another interesting little tidbit we saw was in Overwatch ladder analysis. So basically, and I posted the link in the show notes. We've got an analysis of the top 100 players of the top 100 on ladder of the top 100 players. It's the top 5 slots. Of those top 100 players for most played. So it's interesting to see, like, this is not pro meta, this is competitive ladder meta in the top 100 players. And the top, we'll go 5 most played heroes in those top 5 slots are Soldier, Roadhog, Diva, Zarya, Ana. In that order. So 68 out of 100 players have a Soldier in their top 5 most played. And you can take a look at that list. Interesting enough, without looking at it, can you guess the 2 heroes that have 0?
Bastion and Torbjorn.
Close. Bastion
Junkrat
is one
Bastion.
of them. Junkrat is the other one. I'll give you half credit. Winston only has 2 in Sombra. Winston has the same amount of Sombra too. Interesting. And there's not a single hero that has one like person playing them. There's not like one guy that's like, I am the only Zenyatta in the world. It's very close with Winston, but yeah, I thought that was an interesting little thing. The link is posted there. So we have the choice, and I think we're gonna wait on it. We've got the PTR patch notes. In the past, we have generally waited on the PTR patch notes for a couple of reasons. The first of which being they're always pretty long. There's a lot of stuff. This one especially is a pretty big change. The second and most important reason is that there's a pretty good chance that these get changed, and we don't see these changes, or we see different versions of the changes. So we're not going to spend an already long and overtime episode. We're not going to spend another half an hour talking about the PTR patch notes. At least this week. That may change next week, but we're going to hold off on those and move right along to our other last kind of segment that we usually close the show out with, or start to close the show out with, which is Soldier Says. And so
he's talking right at me this week. This one hit me right in the feels.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking. Yeah, but we'll pass it right over to Mr. 76 himself.
You're never gonna climb to the next rank if you don't play. You can't get better from sitting around. Back in my day, we'd be diamond already.
So basically,
stupid eye itch.
This is this is one of these ones that Deathblow and I have experienced for a very long time in Hearthstone. It's what many people call ladder anxiety. And I was starting to feel it in Hearthstone because I was so close to getting to Plat. I just was like, oh, I don't want to lose rank. Like, if I lose 3 games right now, I'm never going to get back. It's like, so like, I'm just going to not play, and I'll never get. It's like, if you play, you might win, you might lose. But if you don't play, you're never going to win. And the only way to get to the next rank is to win. You can't get there by not playing. So the whole thing is completely flawed. Unless you're completely happy with your rank and you, for whatever reason, want to end on the rank that you're on right now, just go play.
And you shouldn't be happy about your rank unless you would have to suffer ranking decay by not playing. So yeah, it's kind of, keep an eye on that too. If you're in diamond or above that tier, what is it? 3,500 is that diamond? I can never remember what
3K
number correlates. Okay, so if you're over 3K, you are subject to ranking decay. You have to play at least every 7 days in order to not just automatically drop rank. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, and basically, like, not only is your rank not going to go up if you don't play, you're not going to get better at the game if you don't play. And that's the one that I think people don't really like internalize. Is like, I think a lot of people think that, like, okay, well, I'm as good as I'm ever going to get. I'm the best I can possibly be right now. I just need to keep playing to get to what I really deserve to be. It's like, no, every game you play, you're probably getting a little bit better, or you're learning a little bit more, or you're adapting to something a little bit better, and you're going to be more familiar, even if it's just getting your aim better.
And just muscle memory on
You're not IDDQD. Like, you're not Pluppy. Your aim is not perfect.
Well, mine is, but...
Yeah, okay. So,
I was going to say, I'm a Symmetra main, so I just left click on anybody right anywhere near in front of me, and then my aim's perfect. Yeah. So, but anybody that actually plays like a skill-based hero or something like that, you gotta play to get better. And that's when you go into the top streamers. If you go watch Tavik stream and you ask him, well, how can I get better? The first thing every single one of them is going to tell you is play. Like, just you're sitting here watching me play right now. Thanks for doing that. But go play. Like, if you want to get better, if you want to get sponsored or make a team or make a splash in a tournament or something like you have to get into the tournaments and you have to play in them. And you have to just play the game and grind it out. If your team's not doing well, switch it to solo queue. I'm guilty of that. I'm having a bad day. I'm going to stop. It's not going to get any better. It's the wrong attitude. I know it is when I do it. I still do it anyways because I don't like being tilted. But
yeah, I mean, there is definitely something to be said about playing with tilt, but and taking a break is not necessarily a bad thing. There's a difference between taking a break and not wanting to play, or not playing because you don't want to lose. There's a difference between those two things. I think taking a break because you're tilted is actually a very good thing to do for your own mental health state and for the respect of the game state. Because when you're tilted, and believe me, being one game away from Plat 10 times and not getting there, I was tilted. I threatened to uninstall the game at least 800 times. But I didn't. And I got there eventually because even if you are playing at the exactly 51% win rate that you believe yourself to be, like if you just play enough games, you're eventually going to keep going up in rank, statistically speaking. So if you're playing under that, then playing more is the way to get better, not playing less. And that's one thing that like I argue with people all the time. They're like, oh, I don't want to try a new hero because I'm bad with them. I'm like, how are you going to get better with them? Oh, well, and then there's just a pause, and I'm like, if you figured it out, now go play. If you need to practice a hero, play quick match. I don't care. I try not to play quick match, but if I want to get good with Genji because the new meta might involve Genji or Tracer or something, and I can't just spam Diva, I still can probably spam Diva. But if it's not the best to spam Diva or my other heroes, I'll go into quick match and learn them. Or shoot, I'll just play ranked. I don't care. I'm better than everyone. I'm the greatest player ever. But the bottom line is you got to play the game. You love the game. I love the game. We all love the game. Just play the game and have fun. And doing so, you're going to get better. The end. Do you have any additional thoughts to that, Death?
No, it pretty much sums it up.
Awesome. Well, we are actually not that much over time. We're pretty good, but we would be vastly over time if we talked about the patch notes. So, good call on that. But that's going to be it, guys. Thanks for welcoming us back into the High Noon year 2017. Feels good to be back. We are going to be on schedule for the foreseeable future. I am like 90+% confident to make an official announcement, but I'll just say that we do have an interview planned for next week.
It's a good one.
It's actually a really good one. Keep an eye out on Twitter, twitter.com/High Noon Podcast. Going to be tweeting out all about that. It's probably going to be recorded live here on Thursday. So check out for the podcast people listening on day of release of this episode. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/theblevins. We're going to have a live interview. Not quite ready to announce. I didn't ask. It's probably fine to announce these things, but I didn't ask, so I'm gonna play with the cards close to the chest here. I don't even know if that's a saying or not. We do have an interview lined up. It is going to be on next week's episode, as long as everything goes off without a hitch. It's going to be live, twitch.tv/theblevins, 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. That is the 12th? Yes, Thursday the 12th. So, Death, any last minute additions or announcements or shout-outs or anything before we get going?
No, as always, if you want to find us on Twitter or any of the social media outlets we post on, you can go over to the website, highnoonpodcast.com. There's an authors page or a host page there with links for us directly, and the main page also has links to the show's pages and stuff. So,
yes, always can check us out at highnoonpodcast.com. Huge thanks to Matt Reno, Season 1 partners. Huge thanks to Adam Hoek, who I'm gonna go the whole year remembering to give him the shout out for the song at the end, who created the awesome McCree song that you're gonna hear in just a couple of minutes. Huge shout out to the competitive Overwatch subreddit, who kind of helped some of our content blow up a little bit, at least in by our own standards. The blog post, the videos really have gotten a lot of traction. And in that light, huge shout outs to all the new folks listening this week because of the posts on competitive Overwatch subreddit. Let us know what you think over at twitter.com/High Noon Podcast. We're pretty active on the Twitters, all that stuff. And you can always check out all of our links at highnoonpodcast.com. But that's going to be it, guys. I'm the Blevins for Deathblow. Remember, everybody, it's High Noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet at a time till I find mine.
Okay, for the one person that listens at the end of the show, should we keep this gag or should we change it to something else? Let us know.